Hey friends, I'm Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. That was the Grinderino that I am right now taking the screws out of the camera mount. I just noticed in that footage you can actually see the right front motor. There's the front motors are so far out in front of the camera that you can actually see just a little bit of the motor. Only on the right side though. Which is because I had the I've been having some problems with the camera mounts that I put in here. The TPU is really thin, and when I crash it, it pulls the camera out of the TPU mounts, which I'm fixing right now by putting a little washer on. But then I did the one side, I put the washer in, and it immediately flattened out the TPU and punched right through the little... The TPU camera mount has 2 holes in it, and it pushed right through those 2 holes. Oh, boy, is that bad news what just happened. I just lost the screw and the... There's the screw. But there's also an impossibly small silver washer that just hit the ground, which is pain in the ass. And I don't have many of those washers. It's gone, man. It's gone. F's in chat if you've lost something in the carpet this week. Is that what cool people say? F's in chat? That's the thing, right? Yeah, no, it's gone. We are going to give the HGLRC Specter 10A AIO another try tonight. I got one of these a couple of weeks ago, and one of the ESC channels was dead right out of the box. So yeah, we're gonna try it again. BetaFPV replaced it for me with pretty much no hassle whatsoever, and yeah, round 2 is upon us. And so if it holds up tonight, and then if we can get 50, 100 batteries into it, I'll feel comfortable kind of recommending it, basically. If not, back to the drawing board. For anybody that hasn't been following along, I realized a couple of weeks ago that the 5 amp FETs are not quite enough for some of the really powerful motors that we're now running on 75mm rigs, like these VCI 0802.8 27,000s. And you start to get core temperature warnings, and they don't make the power that they should. And so the search began. Initially, I started using my X12 that I had, but that thing ended up shitting the bed, and that is the second X12 that I've had fail, and I'm really not trying to buy a third one and have it let go too. So yeah, a couple of people suggested this HGLRC Specter 10 amp, and so yeah, now you're all caught up. What else? We're gonna fly tonight. BetaFPV Air65 returns. I had given Eva FPV both of my prototypes, and then after I destroyed the production one by crashing it into the dog's water, I was like, hey, one of those prototypes you said has a worse VTX. You're probably not going to fly that much, right? So that's this one. So yeah, it should be fine here in the house. I have a really good antenna location for the little VRX that feeds into the live stream. So we should be good. God only knows what kind of a fist fight it's going to be to try to get this thing unbound and bound to me. In theory, I could just plug it in 3 times, but who knows with Express LRS. So yeah, we'll get that hopefully bound, fly that around. I spent a little bit of beginning of the live stream, I forgot to mention, was the Grinderino with 3.5-inch props. These are BetaFPV 3525s. They're not nearly as popular as the 3520s, but you can find them, and they make significantly more power. They feel great on these Xnova 1804 3500s. They wake these motors up really nice, and this thing is kind of, sort of, just barely heavy enough to not be too floaty on them, but I think I still do like this on 3-inch props. I think it is still a little bit too floaty on these 3.5s. There are times where it's like, all right, come on, come down. Like I'm almost wanting to invert it and throttle it down towards the ground to get it down. But other than that, the Grinderino has been fantastic. Yeah, great build. Lots of prop in view, which, I mean, that is kind of Umagod's thing, right? Like, yes, this is Bot's frame, but it's made by Umagod, and he loves props in view, and there's a whole lot of prop in view with this thing, which some people love. I'm not a huge fan, But this is like a basher rig. This is like a full-blown freestyle rig. This is not really a cinematic rig. And so I guess it's okay. Although, I don't know. I would rather have a little bit less prop in view and have like more of an option of it being a cinematic rig. But yeah, no, it's as a basher, it's totally fine. And these 1804 motors are the basher motors. So yeah, great rig. I've been having a blast flying this thing around the front yard. It's way too big for the front yard, but I'm just trying to get it dialed in before I can take it out somewhere else and really pound on it. I spent some time last night doing a little bit of damage control on the 3 freestyle tiny whoops that I flew quite a bit at Castle Crash. Had a couple of bent up propellers that I swapped out on these 2. This guy, the ultra light Jibbo Jabbo, this is a Mobula 6 2024 that I've upgraded. This one actually has 2 motor shafts that are bent. I'm starting to get the feeling, and it makes a lot of sense, that the Lite AF frame is not going to protect the motors quite as much as the regular Cockroach V3 frame. I flew a ton of batteries on this, and the motors are completely fine. There were 2 props that needed to be swapped out. I flew a few batteries on this, and I just recently, like within the last 3 months, let's say, switched all 4 of these motors out for fresh ones. And I've got 2 motors with slightly bent motor shafts on this thing. So yeah, the Lite AF frame is super interesting, and I really do like it. I'm shocked at how durable it is. And boy, does it bring the all-up weight down. But there's a price to pay for that, and that price is that it's going to be harder on your motors. And so what's kind of annoying about that with this rig is this is the Mobula 6 2024 version 1, which has the direct soldered motors. So it's super annoying to swap the motors out on this. Yeah. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe, I guess what I should do is pull this one apart, put it into a V3 frame, basically turn this version 1 Mobula 6 2024, the ultralight one, into an RC drift car racing setup. My version 2 Mobula 6 2024 is in, it might be this one, is an RC drift car setup. They should be swapped. The RC drift car rigs never break motors because I'm not crashing it super hard. I'm crashing it for sure, but it's not getting crashed really, really hard. And those builds, I mean, all of these builds really benefit from being super lightweight, but that build benefits sort of the most from being super lightweight. Easier to change, it'll change directions quicker, it'll have less momentum. So I think that's what I will do. But I will need to fix the motors on this. I'm not gonna put this into I'm not gonna make this into like a cinematic rig with 2 motors that are banged up. So what I'll probably do is see if I can find the 4 motors that I pulled off of here and figure out which 2 of those are the cleanest, and then yeah, swap them in. And then I'll have a super, super, super lightweight little RC Drift Car Chase rig, which will be awesome. So yeah, I think that's going to be the deal. Kind of annoying because I'm going to have to pull a bunch of stuff apart to do that, but it'll be worth it. Is that this guy here? Here it is. Yeah. So it's going to be these 2 guys that kind of get swapped around. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that because the UFL broke off of my Mobula 6 2024 V2 AIO, and I had to direct solder an antenna on, and this antenna will not clear the canopy. So that is not what I will be doing. I will leave him alone. Awesome. Less work for me. I'm just going to leave it alone and keep pounding on these motors. And then eventually they'll start freaking out and then I can swap them out. But for right now, I'm just going to... Well, no, we're going to fly a couple of these tonight. Speaking of, let me get a couple of batteries on the charger here. So that we actually have batteries to fly. That would be an intelligent thing to do, wouldn't it? How about you guys? Who's building right now? Who's going to leave this on in the background while they get some FPV work done? Who's building and what are you building? Tell us so that we can make fun of it. No, we wouldn't dare. We wouldn't dare make fun of what you're building. Only if you're building something embarrassing. Troy Pulag was Troy Pulag was first in chat. Cole Powers was next. Frank Nicholas, Doubles FPV, Curtis Hayes, Andrew Taylor, Antisocial FPV, Bob Bruce, Adam Weston, Smoking Dog, Cujo, Walter Van Den Ord, Kevin James, Bitch, Mick Mucus, Teleport FPV, Cloud Hopper, Fallen Apex, 16-bit FPV, SlowCal, 16-bit again, LOL the Kidson, Douglas 6, Striker, Brent Anderson, Denzel the Terrible, Skull 901, Kilo Zebra, Tommy B. Who else do we have here? Car Guy for Life, Brad Mondin, Rye Hockey Rounds. What's up, everybody? I'm going to leave it there. Frosty with a $10 super chat. It's spelled like that. I had to say it like that. He says, love the streams, man. I want to graduate from flying around my yard. Do you have any recommended spots on the south side of ATL? I do not. No, I have not flown outside in Atlanta in literally years. I am not the guy for spots. Kind of never was. By the time I moved to Atlanta, I was pretty heavily into cinematic flying rather than freestyle flying. Just because I've been doing this for so long, right? Like after 8 years, like I don't know how to say this without it sounding mean, so I'll just say it and whatever. Chances are you're not going to fly parking lots for 8 years. And it sounds awful, but it's just sort of the truth. Like there's only so many parking lots that you can fly. And I flew a lot. a lot. And so, yeah, I found a couple of spots in Alpharetta, which is the town that I first moved to when I moved here to Atlanta. One of them is like one of the best spots in Atlanta right now. But yeah, that's Alpharetta. That is the complete opposite side of Georgia that you're asking about, Frosty. And so, come on, dog, don't do this to me. And so, yeah, I'm just not the guy. Sorry. But I'll say this. One of the things that I did in Charleston, which is an area that had like no FPV pilots really, like there was one or two, but like nobody really had more than a few spots to fly. One of the things I did to fly spots is that every single day on my lunch break, if I had I had an hour-long lunch break, but if you have a half an hour-long lunch break, you drive 15 minutes in one direction, then you drive back that 15 minutes, and you just look for spots. You don't go out to fly, you go out to look for spots, and like that's your lunch break. You eat at your desk or whatever, before or after, and you just go out and you specifically look for spots. And that's also how you find like spots that are yours, right? Like using other people's spots is like okay until that spot gets burned and it's like partially your fault, and that sucks. So like finding your own spots is a really, really good thing to do, and it also kind of like adds to the resume of locations to fly in that area, right? Like you get to choose if you tell other people what your spots are. So that's what I'm going to suggest, is that you just take a little bit of time once a week, twice a week, every day, whatever, to just go out and specifically look. And then, yeah, that way you've got your own individual set of places to fly that nobody else can kind of like take from you. And it's, I don't know, it's like a rite of passage in a weird way. And they don't have to be great, right? Like they just have to be safe and You just have to not get kicked out. I mean, if you get kicked out, it's fine. You'll find another. But yeah, that would be my sort of suggestion. And I mean, if you've only been flying around in your yard so far, you probably wouldn't want like to hit the spots that to hit like the big Atlanta spots, because they're nasty and they're hard to fly, and they're you know, like if you're the reason why we get kicked out of those spots, like the whole FPV community in Atlanta is gonna hate you. So yeah, it's yeah. Also, most FPV pilots are on the north side of Atlanta, so I can't think of anybody down on that down in the south side. So I think you're gonna have to kind of find your own spots anyway. But yeah, that's what pretty much all of us have done. So it's just one of those sort of things, almost a rite of passage. Thank you so much for the incredibly kind super chat, man. I appreciate it. This is a completely crowd-funded operation that I've got going. This way, when I review stuff, if it sucks, I tell you it sucks. If it's good, I tell you it's good. You don't have to ever wonder like, oh, well, so-and-so sent him that for free, so I'm sure he's being nice about it. Every once in a while, someone does send me something for free. I tell you that right up front. And I typically don't like hammer the hell out of it. Like, I will look for things that are good about it. I'll also tell you the things that are bad about it, though. But I won't just like, this is garbage, don't buy it ever, ever, ever. I'll be somewhat respectful. But I will let you know ahead of time, you know, whenever somebody sends me something. I don't hide that. This is about getting good information, doing good testing, finding the best of the best, rather than making a whole bunch of money, right? You don't see me driving around in a Benz or a BMW or something fancy like that. My car is worth about $2,000 at this point. And so, yeah, it's about good info and building micros and tiny whoops and 5-inch rigs to fly better, to help you as a pilot fly better and have more fun. And fly more. Durability is really, really important because it literally lets you fly more often. And so, yeah, that's what you're going to get, yo. CiottiFPV.com is the website where you can go to really support me. I've added a whole bunch of stuff to the Etsy store today. RC and Power Wasp major motors, bunch of Flywoo 9x15 arm LEDs. These are the ones that you want for your micros and or Cinewhoops, because they're only 15 millimeters long, and they will work all the way up to 6S. Some Flywoo Robo 1002 23500, sticker sheet, bunch of BT 2.0 leads, Axis flying box, all kinds of really fun stuff that I put up on here today. So go check it out. You can get to the Etsy store by just going to CiottiFPV.com. There's the link to it right there. Patreon, as it rightfully says here, definitely does help me out the most. For as little as $3 a month, that's only 10 cents a day. You can jump on there. Ton of benefits. It's well worth that amount. If you have $5 a month, you can get in on some giveaways. Every first Monday of the month, I do 4 giveaways. 3 of those giveaways are for patrons specifically. So jump onto the Patreon channel. It'll explain it. There's the different tiers. The $5 tier is for like tiny whoop and toothpick parts. The $10 a month tier is for 3-inch micro brushless and Cinewhoop parts. The $20 a month tier is for 5-inch parts. If you fly all that stuff and you have an extra $1 a day to donate to the madness, there's a $30 a month tier that'll enter you to win all 3 of those. So every first Monday of the month, you don't have to be on the stream. You just have to be a patron. You'll get entered into those giveaways. It asks you for your address so that when you win, I have your address. I send it to you. And halfway through the month, you've got a little package in your mailbox with a bunch of cool stuff that, you know, you didn't even realize that you won because you missed that Monday stream when you won. It's like, I swear to God, people miss the Monday streams that they win more than they actually catch them. But then I get a message like, oh my God, this is such a cool surprise. I didn't even know that I won. And I think that's hysterical. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me, or you can just message me and we'll get it scheduled. I've been doing this for 8 years. I was an instructor at the racetrack before this for 7 or 8 years. And I just turned that ability to kind of like teach really difficult stuff, stressful, like high skill ceiling kind of stuff, to you beautiful bastards here in terms of trying to fly better. We do that through the simulator. I can also teach you how to tune and get your rigs tuned properly, and help you plan a build out, so that you build something that actually works and doesn't catch on fire and or doesn't fly in a way that you don't want it to. I got a whole bunch of questions that I ask you, and that lets me dial in on the perfect build for you. That'll be durable enough, have enough power, the right amount of runtime. It'll, you know, however, like whatever style you want to fly, there's like little things you can tweak here and there that certain rigs will do better than others. So yeah, lots of good stuff there. Help me help you, yo. Teespring's got some fun apparel that you can get your hands on. The PayPal button for some reason got turned off, and it is now back on. Super chats are great, but if you don't want Google to take 30% of your money, you can just do PayPal here. It'll pop up in my email. Do me a favor, tag me in the chat, type CiottiFPV, check your PayPal, because I want to give you a shout out, because it means a lot to me that you guys donate and help me keep this thing going. And then the way that you can support me totally free is all of these beautiful affiliate links. If you're doing orders on any one of these websites and you hit my affiliate link at any point before you check out, you have to do it every time you check out, it'll drop my info into your shopping cart, and then when you actually pay for the shopping cart, a small percentage of that will come to me. And then you just have to try to remember to hit the affiliate link again for the next time that you order. Easiest thing to do is just to replace your bookmarks to all of these websites with my affiliate links. If you don't use bookmarks and you just type stuff into the URL bar, you can remove the suggestions that it's currently giving you for all of these different websites. And then if you just hit these links a couple times, your browser will think that when you type NEW for newbie drone, that you actually want to go to my affiliate link, and then you don't even have to remember it. Amazon, Get FPV, Pyrodrone, Race Day Quads, Newbie Drone, We Bleed FPV, BetaFPV, FPV Cycle, Oh My God, Brain 3D, HD0, Flywoo, Max, Banggood, Camera Butter, AliExpress. Those are all the websites where I have affiliate links. If you don't use my affiliate links, use somebody else's. It's free money, and it allows us to do our thing better and test more stuff and, yeah, eat. And maybe get health insurance. I'm getting health insurance in November no matter what, so prepare for a monthly fund here for, like, January 2025 insurance. I'm going to be jumping onto the Affordable Care Act. Well, hopefully it still exists by November. Yeah, we'll see. That's how you support me, my friends. I would love to keep doing this forever. Let's do it together. In the chat, if you want to talk to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. It'll light up an orange for me if you do that. You can do it to each other if you want to get somebody's attention. Type their name, spell it right, put the spaces in the right spots. For that person, it'll light up an orange. Kevin James says, hello, everyone in CiottiFPV. Bitch. Striker says, what do you use? I don't know what that means. Striker also says, on 3.5 gang now. I've been flying 3.5-inch props since they first came out. Builds have to be pretty heavy for them to feel right, but they make lots of power and they're very efficient. Brad Bondin says, hey man, just wanted to say love you, brother. Thank you, dude. Rybread says, an excuse to get that 3D printer up and running. I designed and printed my own camera mount and antenna holder. For what, Rybread? Walter says, get a magnet. You know, it would be nice to have a big long magnet down here. It would indeed. I have a couple more of those little washers, though. Or I'll find it after the stream. Walter says, for the lost screws. Got it. Kevin James says, bless you. Thank you, dude. Did I sneeze? I assume that I sneezed. Sneezed. Rybread says, I have a Mobula 7 frame with a BetaFPV cross and MO3 plus CO2. MO3, I guess, is the VTX. CO2 is the camera. That's the BetaFPV VTX and camera. 1610 and 802 27,000 kV motors. It's 25.5 grams dry. Doesn't feel like it has the power I want. Anything I can change / do. Technically, sure. You can go... Well, not really. You've already got motors that are pushing that AIO and the 5 amp FETs on that AIO to their absolute limit. So to go to a motor that makes more power is going to push that AIO even farther, and you're probably not going to get much extra power. 75 millimeter rigs have not had anywhere near as much development as 65 millimeter rigs. And so we just don't really have like the perfect set of motors yet. Those motors that you have now are about as good as it gets, especially considering that I'm assuming that you've got the iGAO motors and they've got the 1.5 millimeter motor shafts. And so, yeah, like at the moment, you currently sort of have the best motors, especially considering that you're on an AIO with 5 amp FETs. If you move to an X12 AIO with 12 amp FETs, or maybe this HGLRC Specter that we're going to be building tonight, if it actually works this time, if this one works, I should say, then you can go to a motor like these VCI 0802.8 27,000s, and these will definitely make more power. Not tons more, but a little bit more power. 75 millimeter rigs, they're just not optimized. They have a ways to go before they feel anywhere near as like dialed and locked in and tight as 65 millimeter rigs. So you gotta manage your expectations a little bit. I mean, what I will say is that MO3 VTX and camera and probably the BetaFPV canopy, I'm gonna guess, that's heavy. So you can help the situation by going to a lighter weight camera canopy built-in VTX kind of setup. It's going to be like a whole different rig. I mean, like, look at like the racing builds. Most of the 65 millimeter racing builds are using that BetaFPV cross AIO, and then they're going to use an external VTX. They put it on the bottom of the AIO, which is actually a better idea for center of gravity anyway, but there's a perfect spot for it. And they're using lighter VTXs than that MO3. Something like the TBS Pro 32, or there's a Eachine, I think it is 003 VTX. Just look up racing builds and you'll see that they use a couple different VTXs, but the racing 65 millimeter builds are set up to be as light as possible. So that's what you're going for here. So that's going to be one of the ways to make that thing fly a little bit better. But the biggest issue is just that like the powertrain is not perfectly dialed yet. The 0702 motors are just perfect for the weight of these 1.2 inch props and the all up weight of the builds. Like they're just, it's kind of like on 5-inch rigs when we found the 2306s and the 2207s. It was like, this is it. Like these are right. This is big enough, but not too big. Yeah. It's the response time is great. They stay cool, all the things. So yeah, that's kind of what you got going on there. At the moment, you've got my favorite setup for like a jungle gym basher. Just a little bit heavy. You're on a camera canopy setup like this, which is like a gram or two heavier than it needs to be. As an example, I have a build that is very, very similar to what you're talking about. And it should be at least a full gram lighter. Let's take a look. Oh my God, there's the washer. I was sitting on it and I didn't even know it. So this is the same 0802 27,000s, but I've got the RunCam Nano 3 camera, the old school Mobula 6 canopy, and this AIO is Happy Model 2G4, which has the VTX built in. This guy is 23.12 grams. So 2 and a bit grams heavier, lighter rather than you, mainly because the VTX is built in, the camera is lighter, the canopy is lighter. So yeah, you can definitely get a little bit more performance by lightening that thing up. It's not going to be drastic, but it will be noticeable. The most drastic change that we're going to get in 75 millimeter rigs is when we finally really figure out that perfect motor. I have a feeling that it might end up being like a high kV 1002, like a 30,000 or even 32,000 kV 1002. It might actually be like an 0902, but nobody's making that, and it's an awful lot to ask a manufacturer to do a whole new motor size. It might also be 803. These VCI 0802.8s, that's an 803. perform extremely well. The problem is they hammer the hell out of your battery. So yeah, there needs to be some work done there. But yeah, we're getting there. We'll get there. Frosty, thanks again for the super chat, my man. YouTube just did the thing, scrolling back up. Curtis Hayes says, I'm replacing a broken Grinderino arm. How the hell did you do that? Cloudhopper says, I'm finishing up another set of 802 36,000 kV rewinds as I watch. First set of them are in a 75mm rig with Happy Model X12, and it's amazing. Hoping the HGLRC Specter 10 amp works out. Yeah, me too, man. 36,000 kV 802s. Good lord, what a time to be alive. King Dingling says, will a RunCam Nano 3 fit in a Mobula 6 2024 canopy? Yeah, screws are in the same spot. You're just going to have to take a ton of material off the top of that canopy because the RunCam Nano 3 is so short and the FXT camera is so long. But it'll screw right in there. The screw holes are in the same spot. Was going to order one to see, but if you could check for me, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's been done. That was one of the first things that people did to lighten it up. Brian Anderson says, I admittedly do not understand what a capacitor does. It feels like I have a strong even power coming out of turns, placebo after adding one. Totally placebo. All a capacitor does, think of a capacitor like a second gas tank for your car in like the middle of the car. You got your main gas tank in the rear, that's your battery on a quad, and then you've got your fuel lines running forward. In the motorsport world, they'll put like a swirl pot is something they'll do. But yeah, like a secondary smaller gas tank, so that if the engine asks for a ton of fuel, and the sump goes dry in the gas tank, that it's got this secondary tank there to supply. On a quad though, like the battery acts as one giant capacitor, and so what the capacitor actually does for us is it helps with like back EMF, basically. Like when you hit something really hard and the motor maybe spins backwards, for example, it can put essentially electricity back into the ESC, and the capacitor is there to kind of like absorb some of that so that it doesn't hit the ESC so hard, so that extra electricity doesn't hit the ESC super hard. It's not something that you're going to really feel in flight unless like you're using a lower end ESC maybe that doesn't have enough capacitors on board. See, that's the thing. Our ESCs have shitloads of capacitors on them already. The little tiny rectangular bastards. Those are all little capacitors, and those are super fast, really high performing capacitors. The cheaper, the shittier the ESC, the less of those capacitors it has. And sometimes what can happen is the electrical system can get kind of noisy from a lack of capacitance. And so you add that external capacitor and that helps that situation. But it's not something that you're going to really feel, I guess, unless there was a lot of electrical noise there and the PID loop was kind of freaking out, and now you've smoothed that out and the PID loop is sort of more chill. But yeah, usually it's definitely not going to give you strong even power. That comes from the battery. The capacitor is gonna like it's only gonna make a difference in like a mega split second. So yeah, it's placebo. But dude, there's so much placebo in this hobby. Go on any Facebook group and type in what's your favorite anything, and you'll get to experience the unbelievable placebo of people recommending products that are saying that their favorite product is something that's absolutely horrifically bad. So yeah, you're not alone, man. Placebo is one of the more difficult things to get around in this hobby. Every single time you buy something and put it onto a quad and think that the thing flies better, like not every single time, but like 90% of the time you're in placebo. The fact that you spent money and time is what's making you think that it feels better. If you fly that thing for a while and then set it up the way that it was before, you'll be like, oh, it's exactly the same. Or in some cases, oh, it's better the way that it was before. So yeah, it's not just you, man. It's everybody, and it's very difficult to separate that out. Danzel the Terrible says, "Is it true you and Teddy have the same hairdresser, Team Tedward?" It is not. It is not. I go to a human, and he goes to a dog hairdresser. It's crazy. You should see it. Walter Van Den Ord says, "I see too. You have what's happening? Everybody's talking about hair. Same trimmer as Teddy." Professor Biohazard says, "Did my first Whoop frame dye job today. Very cool. Isn't it fun to boil dye and water and then dye things?" Car Guy for Life says, "How have you been, man? I'm hanging in. How about you?" Walter says, "I hope you get some from Allie. I bought some throwing knives at Allie through your affiliate link." Very cool. Throwing knives. I love it. The shit that we buy. Straker says, "I don't understand why motor companies don't like non-round numbers. Just make an 0802.3 or a 2207.26 like TG." There's probably some engineering reason. Kevin James says, "Have you heard that the Grinderino can have 5-inch arms? They call it the Fiverino." Any interest in that? None whatsoever. It already has way too much prop in view. And a really lightweight rig with 5-inch arms is just silly, in my opinion. It ends up just being a giant toothpick. And I stopped flying toothpicks many, many years ago because I don't like that flight performance. I want rigs that have more off-throttle throw. Toothpicks are cool because they're very accurate. They always fly dead straight ahead. But when you jump off the throttle, they just stop. And that limits the stuff that you can do. Like, you can't really throw that thing inverted over like a half a dozen trees. You can maybe get it over one tree if you're lucky. And it's just a different flight style that when you're starting out or when you're learning or when you're trying to get better, it's actually a little bit easier to fly because it doesn't want to slide so bad. But then once you've put years and years and years and years into this, typically you want something that has sort of a little bit more three-dimensionality to it. Like, obviously, toothpicks have three-dimensionality. You don't just fly them forward, back, left, and right. You also fly them up and down. I guess I should say, like, four-dimensionality. Toothpicks are flying in 3 dimensions. Heavier rigs with smaller props, for example, or just heavier rigs with the same prop size, they enter you into this 4th dimension where you can come off the throttle and use that momentum that it's got to carry over stuff. And it almost looks like you're defeating gravity in some cases. So yeah, I have no interest in any of these like ultra lightweight 5-inch rigs. I've flown them. They're giant toothpicks. If I wanted that flight experience, I would just do a 3-inch toothpick. Like there's really not much. There's really nothing that like a 5-inch Grinderino is going to do better than like a 3-inch toothpick. Other than maybe it'll go faster. So like if you're doing long range stuff with it, I guess it would make sense. But it's not really a long range rig either. So yeah. Demo FPV says, "Not sure if there's a trick to adding skids on the end of drone arms. The ones that wrap around the arm, I'm struggling to force them on." You can get them hot, get the TPU hot, and it'll become much more malleable. That was a weird freeze. Yeah, that'll help quite a bit. Throw like a mug of water in the microwave, boil it. And then throw them in there for a little bit, get them out, and that'll help quite a bit. Think of it this way though: the more of a pain in the ass to get them on, the more of a chance that they'll actually stay on. So it's kind of a good thing when they're hard to get on there. When they're easy to go on, they just pop right off, and you might as well not even run them. Striker says, "Getting 75 now. I have Happy Model 802 25s on a Meteor 65 Pro, McStinky canopy, CO3 VTX under, whip antenna." Without the metal thing, 1610s Air 65 frame, very cool. Morton Upshot says, "Capacitor is like a carburetor bowl, a small repo for electrical power, sort of, maybe not." What the hell do I know? This is Facebook. Timmons is in the house. He says, "Thoughts on the BetaFPV Air 5-in-1 for 75mm builds?" Speaking of the 5-in-1, I just messaged Zotac from WeBleed. I hope he doesn't mind me telling you guys this. He'll never know. About the 5-in-1. I said, hey, when are you getting them in? And he basically said that he's at the moment he's not getting them in because there are tons of failures with them. And so he's holding off until BetaFPV gets that figured out. And so I think you should too. I am. I'm not going to buy a 5-in-1 until. I mean, maybe I'll just wait until Zotac gets them. Maybe WeBleed is where I will get my 5-in-1 from, because that way I just have to. He's obviously paying attention to that, right? And so once that gets straightened out, I'm sure he'll get a bunch in. So yeah, I should have known. I should have known because, like, if you watch Tiny Whoop's review, they have a clip from. Is it T-Dog? I think it's T-Dog racing it, talking about it. At the end of his little mini review of it, he says that he would give it a 7 out of 10, or maybe an 8 out of 10. And it's still, because it like still has some problems. And he's one of the guys that, apparently he's one of the main guys that helped them make the damn thing. And so I should have known at that point, like, yeah, it really does have some sort of issues that need to get sorted. Have any of you picked one up? Have you had any? Excuse me. Have you had any issues? I know for the T-Dog's a racer. The one main issue that the racers have with it is that the VTX is overpowered, is underrated and overpowered. For racers, they need to be right at 25 milliwatts. They can't go above that, or they'll start stomping on the other racers. And that is one of the problems that it's having. That might be like the main problem. But so for us as freestyle donkeys, we don't care about that. Christ, that's almost a good thing for us to have a little bit extra power. But yeah, those of you that managed to get a 5-in-1, have you had any issues with them? As long as they're durable, I kind of care less about anything else. As long as they're durable and they work, I should say. Stock Air65 has 0802 SE 23,000 kV motors. Apparently, the stock Air75 has 0802.5 motors, which is super interesting, and I'm kind of, yeah, I would like to check those motors out. They're a little too. Let me double check that. Somebody told me that, and I just kind of believe them. Let's see real quick here. Really? Pop-ups? Come on now. Air Series. Air 75. Where are the motors? Oh. See, this is what happens. Oh. I see what happened here. I see what happened here. 0802 S. That's an S, not a 5. Friends. It's just an 0802. It's an 0802 SE. SE. Whoever told me that it's an 0802.5, that's an S, not a 5. Okay, I don't care about these motors at all. 802 23,000 kV motor, I couldn't care less. I could not possibly care any less about. I'm glad I checked that. I'm very glad that I checked that. Let me just make sure. We scroll down here. 0802 SE. Yeah, it's S, not a 5. Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this rig, but those motors are too low of a kV. 802 is the right size motor for this rig, but 23,000 kV is too low. This is a great flying build, though. Somebody had one of these at Castle Crash, and it flew great. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's too low. Too low of a kV of a motor. Needs more. And if you don't want more, you just fucking motor limit it down in the PIDs tab, and all is well. I really wish that the manufacturers would get on board with motor limiting. You just sell your bind and flies with an 80% motor limit. The people that don't know shit about shit are never going to know it, and those are the people that don't really fly all that well anyway, right? So perfect. The people that can't fly for shit get less power and they break it less, and it's easier to fly. For those of us that know what we're doing and concentrate on flying well, we're going to see that in there and be like, "Oh shit, we got some more power here." Wouldn't that be amazing? Imagine if I came on here to review a new product and I said that. Would you not be like, "Damn, that's rad. I'm going to go buy that right now." You might not go buy it, but you would be like, "That's awesome. I can't believe somebody's finally doing that." Come on now. Come on. Striker says, big fat dark helmet looking beta canopy is heavy, but it saves your aios from bending, and you gain like 0.8-ish, 0.8 grams-ish. Yeah, I don't, you know, I'm not super into these, but they're okay. On 75mm rigs, this camera canopy VTX setup is not terrible. And it's actually really helped me. Shout out to Daddy Loves Quads. He sent over a whole bunch of stuff, and with that whole bunch of stuff was 2 setups that had this camera canopy VTX thing, and I've been using them all over the place to test motors and frames and stuff, and it's been like really, really helpful to have 2 extras of these. And I kind of like that they're a little bit heavier because it loads the motors down more, and it like makes it more obvious the differences between some motors that I've tested. So yeah, I nothing wrong. This is a full-blown Meteor 75 Pro, which really blew me away. I did an entire live stream about the damn thing. I was so impressed by it. And so yeah, it's been really, really nice to have a couple extras of these. That being said, there is a significant difference between this and the RunCam Nano 3 Mobulus 6 upside down ball sack canopy in terms of weight. So yeah. And the Mobulus 6 canopy does an excellent job of stiffening up the frame. So yeah. Denzel the Terrible says, Teddy's hairdresser is a dog? Yeah. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. Brandon Anderson says, thank you. You're certainly welcome. Koala FPV's in the chat. What's up, dude? Ebod says, they aren't durable either. EE-Doc killed his after like 10 to 15 batteries. Oh my god, are you kidding me? He physically bent the end of the board? Oh my god. Okay. Great. I was really excited from a durability perspective because they apparently moved the gyro and the processor away from high impact areas. Whatever, man. I don't know. I give up. The 2G4 is the greatest AIO ever. Although, I don't know, man. The Mobulus 6 2024 AIO seems to be totally fine. And it's a little bit lighter than the 2G4. I put mine into a little drift car chasing rig, and I kind of wish I hadn't. It's stuck in there now because the antenna is direct soldered. Oh, I guess I could cut the ass out of a maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll cut the ass out of one of these Mobulus 6 frames so that antenna can poke out. Let's see. How much would I need to cut out of it? Ah, I've got fucking rabies. I can't like work my fingers. Well, come on. All right. So if it sits here, oh boy, I'm gonna have to cut a bunch out of that. Oh yeah, no. Okay. What if I really bend it upwards? Oh! Oh! Oh, now it's going to hit the camera, though. So if I bend it upwards a bunch and then just maybe cut that center section out, maybe I can make that work. Maybe? No, it's not going to work. It's just a little bit too long. I wish I'd cut this a little bit shorter. That was silly. Yeah, I don't know. Who's got a Mobula 6 2024 that's either blown up or not blown up? Say it in the chat. And let's see if we can figure out. You can still get your hands on the 2G4s. I have a feeling that it is more durable than the Mobula 6 2024 AIO. I could totally be wrong. It's really hard to tell with durability stuff, especially when stuff is kind of new. So, yeah, I don't know. Denzel the Terrible says, thank you for quoting Koala FPV. He says, Koala FPV asks, what's the first thing you would do to navigate/remedy noise in analog video feed when throttling up? Move the wire. Move the 90% of the time noise in an analog video feed is because your video wire from the camera to the AIO or, flight controller, or from the flight controller to the VTX is too close to something making electrical noise, like the battery leads. The like classic problem is that video line runs right next to your battery leads, and the battery leads are horrendously noisy, and they will send that noise right out the silicone into that video wire. So yeah, that's the first thing that I would check. After that, it gets a lot more difficult, because like after that you're talking about internal electrical noise, which typically comes from an ESC that doesn't have enough capacitors on board. So like the next step is usually to put an external capacitor on as close to the battery leads as possible, and see if that helps at all. That will clue you in as to if it's a capacitance problem, not if there's not enough capacitance in the ESC, basically. Matter of fact, over on my Patreon, I have a Tech Talk article. At the top of the Patreon page, how do I look at my own page? How do you look at your own effing page? No! Ah! Why? What if I look at it in Safari? Will that work? That'll work, won't it? Yeah, look at that. At the top of the... Oh, I'm not a member. Oh, for fuck's sake. At the top of the page, you can click... Oh, is this it? Is that it? Nope. Recent posts. Why is it showing all of these posts if I'm not logged in? Isn't it supposed to not show these? That's interesting. I didn't even realize that it works like that. If you search for Tech Talk, there should be okay, I see it. It's like graying everything out. I see it. Yeah, you can search for Tech Talk. I've put these little tags on all the technical articles, and there is a technical article called look at all this shit in Tech Talk. Holy Christ. Where is it? There's a post in Tech Talk about video noise, like eight ways to reduce video noise in analog setups. There it is, cleaning up video noise. It's right in here. So yeah, this has a bunch of different methods, but the two that I mentioned are the two that like happen more often than not. So try this first. Timon says, have you tried the BetaFPV Lite canopy? I think it comes with an adapter. to be able to use a Nano 3 type camera. Could be wrong, but they're pretty light. BetaFPV light canopy, eh? They have a bunch of different canopies. I don't know what any of them are called. The light canopy. Yeah. I have 2 of these light canopies. I was going to use these for the walk snail setups if the Mobula 6 canopy didn't work out. But the Mobula 6 canopy has been working out, and it's significantly lighter than these. So I have 2 of these that are just sitting in a box. I have a black and a white. And yeah, I have not used them yet. They are for... I don't know what camera they're set up for. Sorry, I don't know what camera they're set up for. Probably the CO3 would be my guess. Multiple color choices. This ultra lightweight is... There's another piece of plastic that has to go in there. I don't think this 1.1 grams is quite accurate because you have to put that other piece of plastic in there. There we go. FPV camera. Walk Snail Avatar HD Lite, HD0 Nano Lite, Avatar Nano Camera, Caddx Ant, Caddx Baby Ratel 2. So there you go. Yeah, I haven't used it yet. It looks okay. They look totally fine, but yeah, I just haven't had to use it. Maybe I will. I mean, if I ever have one of those Mobula 6 canopies let go, I'll definitely try one. But the Mobula 6 canopies are like hysterically durable for me. Professor Biohazard says the durability is surprising because Tyrant has beat his to hell and it's still flying well, but he has the camera in a Mobula canopy. Yeah, it makes sense. The Mobula canopy is the jam. Striker says nothing but good with the Beta Cross, and the VTX makes it only 0.4 to 0.5 heavier if you mount it right and use light wire. Yeah, I've had really good luck with the Beta FPV crosses as well. McMucus says 2 blown up 2024s VTX failures. 2G4. Koala says, sweet, thanks, dude. You're certainly welcome, brother. And we're all caught up. Let's do some things. Let me fly. I've said in a bunch of live streams recently that I was going to fly, and then I haven't flown. And so let's break that streak real quick. I'm also kind of I waited to put these 3 rigs up in the air. These are the 3, man. This is the Freestyle Whoop fleet. First up, we're going to do Ghost Whoop. I'm going to start naming these, I think, too. This is going to be Ghost Whoop from now on, I think. Cockroach V3 frame, old Cockroach V3 frame. It is, like, beat, and it's getting a little wobbly, and I am going to need to replace it because it's starting to get oblong. This frame has been through hell, like 200-300 batteries of absolute hell. And I pounded the shit out of this rig at Castle Crash. I probably flew 20 or 30 batteries there on this thing, just blasting it into wood, everything. So Cockroach 65 V3 frame, Tiny Whoop Moon Travelers 0702 32,000s. I have moved this thing over to the Gemfan 1219S's. It was on the HQ Ultralight tri-blades, which are totally fine, but from some thrust stand testing, it looks like these Gemfan canopies actually wind up a little bit faster and they make more thrust. I know that they make more thrust and they're a little bit more durable than those YOLO props. Old school Mobula 6 canopy, RunCam Nano 3, ORT Micro V, and a 2G4 AIO, BT 2.0, of course. So yeah, we'll fly this first. This one is kind of like in the middle. We've got lower KV but lighter, and then we've got higher KV, not heavier. These two guys are the same, but this is on 36,000 kV motors with bi-blades. This is 32,000 with tri-blades. Both the new Gemfan props. Cool. These are kind of beat up batteries. So this is not like a comparison of one versus the other. This is just putting these up in the air, bouncing them off the walls so that you can see the subtle differences between them. And this is also me seeing if they're healthy again. And we'll go into the. I'm gonna push the tunes a little bit as the rigs get more beat up. I back the tune off a little bit. So like, let's actually dive right in, and we're gonna push the tune on this thing. There we go. Is this the right module? It is indeed. Ghost whoop. I can hear my own thoughts. I can hear that the tune is at the absolute limit of what it can do, which I don't like. So I'm actually going to back it off a little bit. I'm going to go right back to where it was. It was fine, totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. What am I looking at here? Oh, come on now. Don't do this. Not like this. Get it. Can't you just come the fuck out of there, please? Stubbornness. Oh, what the hell's... Okay, it has no power. What's happening? What was that? What are you doing, little fella? Why are you so upset at the world? What happened to all your power? Hold on. Turtle mode? Whoa, that one's fine. That one's not. Right front motor is fucked. Yeah, hold on. What's happening right front motor? Why are you so sad? Is it the plug? Let's see. Oh boy, something ain't right. The motor it spins freely, so that's good. There's a little bit of up and down play, so that's fine. Is there a motor wire that's about to break? Is that what's happening here? It was just fine a second ago. Let me keep it spinning and I'll move the wire. Nope. I mean, technically the 2G4 could be dying. Let's power cycle it. That's not going to do anything. I'm going to keep farting around with it. Come on. Oh. It's got to calibrate the gyro. Okay, well. This is what it's supposed to sound like. This is what I'm getting from the right front motor. Something ain't right. And it was fine a minute ago. So, step number 1 is to take this motor out and take one of the other motors and swap them. And see if the problem chases the motor or if it stays on the ESC channel. What I just did, though, is I unplugged that motor, and now I'm plugging it back in. And now let's see if that does anything. Nope. I think this is an ESC problem. As I throttle that motor up, it's totally fine, and then it's not. Damn it. All right, hold on, real quick. I'm gonna pull. This is motor number 2. I'm gonna take motor number 2 off and motor number 3 off, and I'm gonna swap them because they both have the same direction propeller on them. And so let's see how quick this is. I want to do like a a test. I want to like time this and then time doing this with direct soldered motors. You know what I mean? That would be hysterical. So there's the two motors unplugged. We've got 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to take motor number 3 and put it where motor number 2 was. Get in there, you bastard. Oh, come on now. Get in there. It's always harder to do this with the prop still on the motor. But I thought like, oh, we could do it super quick. Watch this. We'll leave everything on there. All right, there we go. All right. In theory, I won't need to reverse these motors in Betaflight either. It kind of depends, though. If these are both red dot. Yeah, they are both red dots, so I should be fine. When I say red dot, Happy Model puts a little red dot on the connector of the motors, or it doesn't. That red dot, or a lack of red dot, tells you which direction the motor is going to spin. Clock versus counterclock. And so if you pay attention to that when you're doing the builds and put those red dots either on motors 1 and 4 or 2 and 3, you might not need to reverse motor direction in Betaflight. And it's just one of those things that like you might as well pay attention to it, because like in this scenario, I now don't have to go back into Betaflight and do anything. I can just replug these in, slap the battery back in there, and we'll have our answer whether or not I just blew up this ESC or if the motor itself is dying. And so yeah, pay attention to that, yo. Might as well. Doesn't take you any time, you know? All right, let's see. That is ridiculously quick. All right. What will happen? Same channel 2, which was having the problems. All better. Motor 3 now, which is the issue. Yep, motor's dead. Cool. There you go. Troubleshooting 101, my friends. The problem chased the motor, and so the motor is the problem. This 0702 32000 cooked. That happens. These motors are... we are pushing these motors to their limits, and it's no surprise that every once in a while one of them will just die of death. Oh my god. Why can't I get this prop off? Oh boy, what the hell? Hold on. The stator cooked on this motor. I can tell by the way it's sort of behaving. It's just, I've had enough motors die that I've kind of seen it. Where are we at here? Danzil says, naming them is good. Put the craft name in the OSD for when you compare footage. That's a great idea, actually. Although a lot of times I keep the OSD off, so that wouldn't help in those scenarios. But there are scenarios where it would absolutely help out. Come on. Although what's nice about having CiottiFPV in the OSD is that like when you go to an event like Castle Crash, it's like, you know, who's this person stomping all over me? Oh, it's CiottiFPV. And so yeah, there's that. Oh, look at that. The C-clip got I completely mangled the C-clip. I've not done that before. I've heard of that happening. Oh, you know what? This might be a motor shaft issue. Hold on. This might just be a slipped motor shaft. I didn't even think of that. Hold on. Let me see. Can't believe I did this work on these rigs, and then the first one I fly, it blows up. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is just a slipped motor shaft, I think. Come on. Come on. I don't know. The bell's got a little bit more up and down motion than normal, but it won't come off, which is usually a sign that it's fine. Here's how you really figure it out. You put the prop back on a little bit. Oh, nope, there goes the motor shaft. I just pushed it right out the bottom. Okay. So yeah, this was more than likely a slipped motor shaft. Although some of the windings do look a little bit dark. Oh boy. The windings are very dark. Sometimes that's okay though. Well, I'll try to put it back together. Well, no, I mangled this top C-clip. But that's okay, I have extras. I don't know what I'll do. I have an extra set of these Moon Traveler motors, so I'll figure it out. I'm going to put this over here for now. I'll figure it out when I'm not streaming, and I can actually think through it. This motor shaft is not bent, though, so what I will certainly do is Loctite 638 this motor shaft back to that bell so that I have a non-bent Moon Traveler bell. So I'll definitely fix this motor shaft and bell, but after that, whether or not I reuse this stator, I don't quite know. Is that knurled? I'll be damned. It's a knurled motor shaft. This is a newer Moon Traveler, and it's got a knurled motor shaft. Okay. Betcha the stator was the problem. Because if this motor shaft is knurled, more than likely it was not spinning on the bell. Although, hold on, I can test that. Hold on. Put this back through here. And okay, put that back through there. Oh boy. Now, this is a slipped motor shaft. Oh yeah, it is. The knurling's not holding on. Let me just confirm that. Get in there. Come on! Alright, you put the prop on a little bit and then you see if the motor bell will spin. Yeah, it's spinning, but there's some resistance. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is a motor shaft problem or the stator exploded problem. But regardless, I'm going to Loctite 638 this back together because there's just no reason not to. And this is a fancy light blue motor bell. What's happening here? That's fine. All right, so I'll fix that later. Timon says, my walk snail 75mm. I thought grenaded effet flies fine now after moving from Rosser's recommendations for version 21 Blue Jay to the dev startup power recommendations for thought. Speaking of that, I meant to mention that before last week, I guess, when I saw it. There was a bug in previous versions of Blue Jay. I want to say like Blue Jay 0.17, 0.18, 0.19, but I'm not totally sure. But previous versions of Blue Jay, there was a bug with startup power, and the bug was the reason that we've had to max our startup powers out. Version 0.21, you do not want to max your startup power anymore. They've fixed that bug, and if you do max out your startup power, it's going to be really hard on your ESC. So yeah, no longer do that. Keep the startup power at default. If it kicks the motors over, great. Don't even think about it. If the motors won't start reliably, move it up a little bit. Don't move it way up. Just bring it up a little bit and then try it again. And if it still won't start, bring it up a little bit. Try it again, a little bit. Eventually, you'll bring it up to the point where the motors start every time, and now you're good to go. So, yeah. Timon says, I couldn't go with 0.16 because BetaFPV F4 is AX5. Bummer, yeah. Striker says, you should try the Hypetrain 802 29.7 thousand kV. Might be good for 75. They are very heavy. They're too heavy. Those are the BBs, I believe. Yeah, that's a super heavy motor. And it's only a 1mm shaft. So, yeah. 2 strikes and you're out. Walter says 3 minutes. That's nuts. Switching 2 motors in 3 minutes. That's rad. Scotty Scott says, coming from slot cars, if the stator releases the shaft, the stator has gotten very hot. Yeah, that is one of the reasons. In this world, though, more often than not, the reason is that you've put a propeller onto the motor that the inner diameter of the propeller 1mm hole is too tight. This is why a 0.99mm drill bit is so important, and you should all have one. I have them for sale on the Etsy store if you want to get yourself one. Yeah, that because when you put that motor shaft on there, well, it actually depends on the construction of the motor. The Happy Model motors have a C-clip on the top, which eliminates a lot of the pressure there. But then the other thing that can happen is when you go to pry the propeller off, you can pull the motor shaft up a little bit. There's a little bit of motion on the bell up and down. And when you pull a propeller that's being really stubborn off, it will eat that motion up. And that has now, the motor shafts are like laser welded to the motor bell. And so if that like laser weld stays in place, it's nice and strong. But as soon as you have to muscle a prop off, it will just pull that shaft up a little bit and it'll break that laser weld. And now you're only relying on the knurling of the motor shaft, which is not enough usually. And so, yeah, that's typically what happens with tiny whoops when you slip a motor shaft. It was a situation where at some point in that motor's life, you had a stubborn-ass propeller, and in the process of pulling that propeller up and off, the propeller is grabbing onto the motor shaft. So you pull that prop up, it's yanking up on that motor shaft, and you're pushing down on the bell. So it just breaks that laser weld between the two, and then that motor is never going to be the same. You can kind of test that by just grabbing. The problem with doing this test is you can make it worse. You grab the motor bell, and then you try to spin the prop. You should not be able to spin the prop. If you just keep pushing harder and harder and harder, you'll be able to eventually spin the prop by destroying the motor. So you got to be careful. You just do this test, you put a little bit of pressure on it, and you move to the next one. You don't want to put a ton of rotational torque on this because, yeah, it's only a 1mm. Well, it's actually a 1.5mm motor shaft where it meets the bell. But, yeah, I'll get this thing fixed later on. Next up, we're going to go up to the 36,000 kV motors. See if we can break this. I'll put the same battery on here because I didn't even run the battery all the way down. Same build, Cockroach V3 frame, 2G4 Happy Model AIO. These are 0702 36,000 kV motors, and they are paired with the Gemfan 1210 biblade. And so it's a little bit more slippery off throttle, but it's not quite as accurate. It's a little bit harder to hit gates with. Same Mobula 6 old school canopy and RunCam Nano 3. Whoa, that was super awkward. Okay. Ah! Oh my god, what is happening? This thing's flying like shit. What's happening here? Oh my god. Maybe it's okay. Hey. What I was thinking there. Maybe the couch would move out of the way, I guess. the hell's going on? What is happening tonight? What is this? Oh god, no. There's a motor oh no. What is happening? Oh. All these rigs are broken. What's going on? Alright, so this has a motor that's not... This is doing the exact same thing that the other one was doing. Hold on. Oh, no, it's not. Wow, two motors won't... What the shit? Two motors won't start spinning. What is going on? Where's this hair coming from? Alright, hold on. Let's go into turtle mode. Spin each one of these up. Oh my god, that one won't even turn. Oh, there it goes. They're all roughly close. Motors 2 and 3 are a little bit down. But what is this? Why won't these... Those two motors are having a really hard time starting. Will there ever be a day that any of this shit works for more than 5 minutes at a time? Let's take a look at what the ESC situation is on this little fart bag. Firing up ESC configurator. Let's take a look. Connect. It should be on 0.16. It is. Yeah, it's on point. Why is it on 96K? No wonder why it's flying like shit. What the hell? How long has this been on 96? What? I'm going to do this. I'm going to update this to 0.21 on 48K because that's what you want. Wow, okay. This is going to fly a lot better, getting it off 96. Come on, ESC configurator. You can do it. What's really weird... You know what? I think I was doing testing. I might have been testing 48 versus 96. And the last round of testing I did was it on 96, and then I forgot to flash it back to 48. That would be my guess. Very weird. I do not like the way that tiny whoops fly on 96. 96 has a lot less braking, and when you have less braking, it has to do more with thrust. So, like, for example, when you throttle up and you go to do a roll... 96K will roll like this, whereas 48K will roll more like this, because there's more braking. Well, in this case, I'm rotating this way. So this is going to make thrust. This is going to break down. On 96, this is going to have very little braking. So the thrust is going to have to work harder, and that's going to make it do a big oblong rotation. Whereas 24 is even better, but 48 is pretty good. It'll actually be able to break. It'll power this up, break this down, and so... It'll kind of rotate on its own axis, and that's what we want. Otherwise, if you line something up and then you go just to turn into it, on 96 you'll go like this and you'll miss the thing that you're kind of shooting for. So we've got these startup powers of 1010 and 1020, and I'm gonna leave these. I'm gonna leave these nice and low, and we'll probably be completely fine. I'm gonna put that to 1S though. And we're just going to rate these settings. All right, cool. So we're on BlueJay 0.21 now on one of these, which is weird. Hold on. Got to turn the transmitter off for a second. All right, there it goes. So that should be way better. Let's take a look. Wow, this poor thing's been on 96. What a pain in the ass. We're going to switch. Nope. We're going to use the same battery to see if the motors will start up reliably. Nothing really for you guys to see. I'm just going to talk you through this. Connecting, and there's the LRS. Let's see. Oh, now it doesn't work. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. I'm going to do what I should have done and put this onto BlueJ 0.16. Because I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with BlueJ 0.21 and those startup values. It's not worth it. BlueJ 0.16 has fixed a lot of problems that have been caused by 0.17, 0.18, 0.19 for me, and I'm just kind of over. 0.16 works incredibly well, and you can get it for most ESCs, and you can get it in 48K. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm over it. Flash local firmware. I'm looking for OH5. It's going to be in my downloads folder. OH5. Let's search for O-H-5. Search in downloads. Oh, come on now. Fuck it. I'll just scroll. Organized by name, and then HILMNO. There we go. OH548. That's what we want. All right, flashing ESC1. Now it'll work well. Scotty Scott says JB Wells will fix it. Tiny Shark says thoughts on VCI 1505. What? 43,000? That's got to be a typo. I'm gonna assume that you meant to say 4,300 kV motors for a 3.5-inch O3 build. And what props would you recommend? I don't really love the 3.5-inch props. The Gemfan 3525s are pretty damn good. Why did it not flash the fourth ESC? What the hell's that about? Oh, for fuck's sake. What are you... Why? Why did it do that? What the hell was that about? If it does it again, I'm going to throw a royal shit fit. I didn't know that VCI made a 1505. That's a really great motor size. Yeah, that would be a great motor for that. Run it on 4 S850s. That should be awesome. Gemfan 3525s are great, but I think there's only like 4 or 5 3.5-inch props that exist, so just get them all. You'll spend like $15 whole to get every single one, and then you run them and see which ones you like the best. That's my real recommendation. CMYK is in the house. What's up, homie? Timon says, have you messed with the extended D-Shot telemetry that they mention in the BlueJ wiki for 0.21? No. No. What do they say about it? There it goes. Now it's flashing the fourth ESC. That was super weird. Walter says, there are bad ghosts around you. It's me doing I go to bed. It will be better. Ciao, Bellos. Thank you, brother. Ortiz says, don't be a dick. Who are you talking to, Ortiz? I'm sure you're not talking to me because you're in my live stream. But who are you talking to? Alright, wow, this thing got hot. This battery, I might have over-discharged. Let me just check it. 3.7, perfect. Alright, this battery's done. Put it over here. He says, no, YouTube told me. What? What does that mean? YouTube told you what? So confused. All right. Let's see what this thing is like on 48K. I just wanted to fly real quick. I just wanted to fly 3 super quick batteries. And now it's turning into a whole fucking thing. Jeez. All right. Here we go. Transmitter's not on. Goggle battery's dead. Oh my god. Can oh, come on now. Something just and now ELRS won't bind. What is happening? Why? Why is everything out to get me? Crutch. Oh, I didn't hit the button on the transmitter. User error. All right. Okay. Motors won't spin. What the hell is going on? Why? 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 All right. This is some bullshit right here. It is 11:35 already. All right, I got like 3 more minutes, and then I'm just gonna bail on this, and we are going to dive into the HGLRC Specter. I don't understand why this is being such an asshole, but oh, for fuck's sake, come on. I mean, the startup power is super low, and on 0.16. Fuck it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's going to be fine. I don't usually have to do that in 0.16. Usually the default startup power values work fine. But I'm just totally over it right now, and that should be what it needs to start working. Yep. And I can tell, line of sight, that it's flying better. I can hear it. I can hear it spinning down the motors quicker than it was. All right, here we go again. 0702 36,000 kV rig on the Gemfan 1210 biblades. Come on. There we go. Now I have... Oh my god. Way better. Okay. Still can't fly for shit. Oh my god. You guys can... I'm sure you guys can see how much better this is, right? Man, it was flying awful on 96K. 96K is supposed to have more power. Oh boy, I am flying like a... Oh my god, this is bad, dude. Oh my god, what the fuck is happening? Where is it? What am I looking at? Oh my god, it's all the way over in the corner. Most nights I don't fly all that good. Fair warning. Some nights I do, but most nights I don't. It's a lot to try to talk and fly. And I usually just like fly 1 or 2 batteries, and I kind of don't have enough time to get warmed up. Ah! Ah! Oh, now we're talking, though. This thing flies great now. Ugh. Oh, it went through one but not the other. That's absurd. Yeah, man, I'm at... I'm done. I'm not flying anymore. This is stupid. The point of the live stream is to fly the Spectre. This thing now works. It's fine. This is the worst I've flown in a long time. And I just keep getting it stuck in unrecoverable spots, and that's just stupid. So I shall bail and live to fly another day. There was a while that I was like flying loads of batteries on these rigs, and I got really good at flying these things down here. But I've not been doing that very much, and boy, does it show. And it's like super frustrating. It's super, super, super annoying that like I know that I have the ability to like shred down here, but I just can't make my fingers do it. at the moment, and that just drives me nuts. And so, yeah. Hey, I messaged ORT, which stands for Old Radio Technology, which is just amazing. That's just the perfect name for a company that makes analog antennas, you know what I mean? I sent a message to ORT on Instagram, and I said, hey, what's your minimum order quantity? And would you be able to do a custom antenna? I love the micro V, but I want it a little bit shorter. It sticks a little bit too far out of this canopy. I want it a little bit shorter, and I'm wondering if you can extend this shrink wrap a little bit so it'll tuck into the canopy. And they said their minimum order quantity was only 10. And I was like, done, let's do it, yo. So I'm going to have a bunch of ORTs coming. And I mean, right now it's just for my rigs. So I'm going to probably switch over to those, and then I'll sell all of my normal ORTs, and they're fine. Like, it actually performs better sticking up like this. It's just that after a bunch of crashes, it gets pushed down like that, and then you have to push it back up, which is unacceptable for me. But yeah, so I'll sell all these guys cheap, or just give them away. Maybe I'll throw them into the Tiny Whoop giveaways. And then if I like the shortened ones and they work perfectly, I'll order a bunch more and put them on the Etsy store, and you guys can get the perfect version of the perfect antenna. What do you think of that? This guy is happy and good to go. I'm not going to fly this because I'm embarrassed right now. So I'll fly this on my own time when you guys aren't watching me hurl about the basement like a buffoon. Tiny Shark says, met 4,300 kV. Perfect. What all-up weight should I target for the 3.5-inch O3 to get it flying amazing? You shouldn't. Don't target an all-up weight. Like, pick your frame, pick the parts. There's really, like, you don't really have much control over the all-up weight. Don't put tons of TPU on it. There's no reason to ever do that. The battery that you want to run is a 4S850, almost certainly. And then you probably already have a frame. If you want a heavier build, pick one of the heavier frames. If you want a lighter build, pick one of the lighter frames. Don't have a number in mind, because then you're just going to be disappointed when you don't hit that number. The flight controllers all pretty much weigh the same. ESCs weigh the same, right? The motors are going to weigh what the motors weigh. A bigger motor for more power is going to be a little bit heavier. And that's pretty much the whole build, you know? Like, the O3 system is going to be heavy as hell. But, yeah, don't target an all-up weight. Pick the components that make the most sense, and then the all-up weight is what it is my real recommendation. If you pick an all-up weight that you're trying to target, you won't hit it, because the wires weigh a bunch, the propellers weigh a bunch, the screws weigh a bunch, and, like, no matter what, you will not hit that number. If you're building a 3.5-inch rig, you really don't care about all-up weight, because they don't fly right until they're like 300, 320 grams, and it's probably not going to be that heavy anyway. So yeah, just pick the components and let it weigh what it weighs, and away you shall go. Scotty Scott says, you are still flying 96 kilohertz. He said that at 11:38. It's 11:43. That last little battery that I flew was definitely not 96 kilohertz. Although every single time I say definitely, I get proven wrong. So I will plug it back in and see if it's on 96 or not. Because I believe everyone else more than myself. Connect and read. And it is indeed on 48. 48, 48, 48, 48. We good. All right. And, oh, Scotty Scott says, I mean, yourself is on 96. Yeah, right. My flying skills are on 96 kilohertz. Shit. LOL the Kittison says, definitely get some more and put them on Etsy if possible. Hell yeah. Verbalance says, hello. Douglas 6 says, it's not hard to shorten up those ORT antennas. You know, you're right. Because it's just soldered to the PCB, it really wouldn't be that hard. But stripping the outer insulation and then dealing with the braid and then stripping the inner plastic, in my opinion, is kind of difficult. It's difficult to get the lengths perfect. It's difficult not to accidentally cut through a part that you don't want to cut through. So yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, but these antennas are only $6 each, and so it's like, yeah, I'll have ORT do it to avoid the nightmare. Quad66, what's up, homie? How are you been? Taking a little break from YouTube. I see. That's okay. You got to from time to time. Everybody has to from time to time. YouTube is a lot, man. I know we said we were going to fly the Air65 today, but it's just not happening. I'm flying like a buffoon, and yeah, we're running out of time. I've had to shit this entire live stream. This is the frame and motors and props that we're going to be running here. Let's do a little bit of work. I don't know if I have enough time and or whatever. Let's work on it. We'll get done what we get done. First thing we're going to do is put the BT 2.0 battery lead on here. Tiny Shark says, can I ask your quick thoughts on Piratframes Lil'Matey2 3.5-inch frame? I don't know anything about it. Piratframes, I've not been all that impressed with in the past. They're probably okay. But yeah, I don't know. They've made some weird decisions in the past. Joshua actually reviewed one of their frames and was pretty critical of it. For fuck's sake. Now I'm curious. Oh, it looks heavy. It has the look of a... Oh, Jesus Christ. What the fucking pop-ups? What is it with FPV sites and pop-ups? Jesus. Frame weight 58 grams. That's not too bad. I don't like frames with stupid custom cut aluminum things up front. It completely destroys your ability to run different length standoffs. It's not the end of the world, though. Little bit of motor protection out on the end. Not great. I would rather see like a devil horn style of motor protection, but there really aren't. Another pop-up? Really? 2. Fucking 2? But this is half-decent motor protection here. Not many, if any, of the microframes have half-decent motor protection, so this is actually not too bad. It looks like it's set up for toilet tank, which is not a good idea. But there's no reason that you can't just put the straps under here. It is going to kind of move around, but it'll still kind of work. Definitely don't toilet tank it. That's a terrible idea. Other than that, I mean, it looks all right, I guess. Is there a picture of the bottom of the damn thing? No? Great. The most important picture, the picture of the bottom, and it doesn't exist. Awesome. So, looking at this, the bottom plate is going to be... This is the rear bottom plate. And so, outer and then inner. So, these are the arm mounting points. So, they look like they have a good amount of carbon around them. So, that should be okay. The arms look relatively thick. Do they tell us what the actual thickness of the arms are? 4mm arms. That's... I don't know. I'm always worried about 4mm arms. It's going to put an awful lot of the energy into the motors. But the arms aren't super thick, so it might actually be okay. One of the main things I don't like about the Impulse RC Micro Alien is that it has 4mm thick arms, and the arms basically never break. I think those arms are a little bit wider than these, though, so maybe these won't be that bad. These are massive chunks of TPU. Don't use those. They're stupid. Yeah, it looks all right. No major complaints. I can kind of see the base plate a little bit better. These two press nuts here could be a pain in the ass. This is gonna make ESC mounting a little bit more difficult. I don't love when they do press nuts that close to the 20x20 stack. But I mean, I'm starting to get pretty bitchy at this point. Yeah, it's probably fine. $50. It's a little expensive for a micro frame, but not too bad. I might go with the Volador frame over this one, to be totally honest. It's so much cheaper. Yeah, I guess it's not that much cheaper. 20 bucks, 18 bucks less, 17 bucks less. A little bit of a bigger frame. Yeah, I don't know. Get one or the other. Well, it's out of stock, so I don't know what website you're ordering from. Looks okay. Frame looks okay. No major complaints, but it also doesn't look like the greatest frame in the world. But none of them are. All frames have little things about them that I don't love because I'm a picky bitch. All right, yo. But at least I don't eat other people's pets. All right, here we go. Where are the battery pads? There they are, off on the side, which is really nice. And so let's just jam this thing into this thermally resistive putty from Mass Adhesive. And what are we? We are ground on the outside, positive on the inside. With BT 2.0, round is always ground. In BetaFPV land, white is always ground, and then blue is voltage. So let's take a quick look. Yeah, that one will drop right in there. I am gonna tin these pads first, though. Sometimes I'll just put the wires in there and then just dump solder onto the pad with the wire, but in this case, I will tin this first. Shit, this syringe has been getting kind of clogged up lately. God damn it. Oh, man. Does everything have to, like, go against me all at once? Can't, like, something be easy? All right, hopefully that fixed it. Hang on one more second, friendos. God damn it, come on. There we go. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. Nope, still clogged. Nope, we're good. Okay. Nice blob of flux on each one of those. Let's get these pads tinned. And then the only other soldering we have to do is to solder up the camera. Tiny Whoop builds are magical. All right, ground pad, just waiting for it to get hot. It's hot, there we go. Voltage pad, good to go. All right, so we've got white is ground. We will do that one first. I like to hold the lead in the way that it's going to plug into the battery. So I'm going to have the lead like this. This way the wires aren't getting all twisted. So I'm going to hold the lead like that because that's how it's going to want to lay once it's in the frame. It's a subtle thing, but it does kind of matter. And I know I say not to do this, but I'm actually going to use the soldering iron to kind of push this wire in here. I can do that because it's a pad that's on the side of the AIO. And that went okay, but I want to get the wire, I want to get the silicone a little bit closer to the AIO here. So I'm just going to grab this with these two fingers and just push it towards the AIO to try to get that silicone right up against it. That just makes it a little bit stronger. There we go. Perfect. And now we've got the voltage, which I'm actually going to use tweezers for. Oh shit, I'm doing it all the way off on the bottom. Sorry guys. There we go. Alright. Grab this guy. And again, you can see the plug is sitting the way that it's going to sit in the frame. That's kind of what I want. You guys aren't going to be able to see this. But this is a pretty boring soldering job here, admittedly. Nothing really to see. I just push the wire into the little pocket and we are done. And then I like to put a little bit of an angle here in the wire just to get it pointed towards where it's going to go. Don't put a lot of pressure on that. All right, so now we just got to solder up the camera, and the camera pads are somewhere. Oh, that's right. They don't label the pads on this thing. So we've got to pull up the safe flight, friends. Safe flight. There's the QR code for the manual. I'm gonna do it like a millennial and use my fucking phone. Holy cow! Why won't it work? There we go. Wow! Look at that. Come on now. You can do it. There it is. Look at that. There's the instruction manual. That's pretty handy. I'm going to start holding all these little cards. All right, so there it is. Camera, video in. Where are you at? Wow, this is a horrendously blurry picture. I can't read this. Okay, now it's up in the front. I can almost not read that. Jesus. Camera ground 5 volt. Okay. Up front, camera ground 5 volts. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to jam this in at an angle like that. And the pads that I want are the first 3. I'm not going to put flux on them. There is flux in the core of your solder. And for these tiny little pads, that's going to be plenty. So the first 3 are what I'm going to tin. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And in the process of doing that, they have all bridged together. They've only bridged on the top, though. But to break that bridge is super easy. Clean the tip of your soldering iron. A little bit of flux is really nice, but this will be totally fine. Heat up all the pads, and then just kind of flick outwards. Heat all 3 of the pads up, and then just pull outwards like that, and you'll break the bridge. And then just check on the bottom. Remember that solder travels towards heat, and so the reason that that works is that when you flick outwards, the solder tries to go with the soldering iron tip. And yeah, it's like absolute magic. All right, we're good. Those 3 pads are tinned, not bridged. Man, these pads are close together. I will say that about this AIO. These pads are very close together. I just want to remove a tiny little bit more solder from each one of these pads. There we go. Okay. All right, perfect. And so now we just got to solder up the camera. What did I say? Camera ground voltage, right? Yeah, camera ground voltage. And I want the camera to be facing up in this direction, so I'm just going to sort of balance this over here like that, I guess. And we're going to have to do this with tweezers. These pads are absolutely tiny. I will try to give you guys a view of what I'm doing here. This is going to be tough, but better than nothing. I assume, well, it's not going to focus anyway, so, oh, wow. Okay, well, it probably won't stay in focus, but better than nothing. Here we go. Cam wire first. And all right, now I'm not grabbing the wire with the tips of the tweezers. That's better. Okay. All right, yeah, that'll work. All right, let's get it in there and oh boy. And I just bridged that to the other pad, which is super annoying. So let's clean the tip of the soldering iron. And at this point, since I already have the wire where it needs to be, I can just hold the wire in place and then heat both pads up and it'll break the bridge. So like that. And then just pull outwards. And yeah, now we're no longer bridged. All is well. Next up, we've got ground. Okay, there it is. And I just got to get that wire kind of like into its happy place so that it's pointing straight down. I got to be honest, I am digging these side of the board. I always forget what they're called. Rather than through holes. These like half pocket pads on the side of the board. I'm really starting to like these. All right, so let's get this guy hot. All right, there we go. And then we'll bring the wire in. Oh boy. I'm not in a great position. Let's move this down a little bit. Okay. Move this voltage wire out of the way and then get this pointing down. That's it. Much better. That was me being impatient and trying to use the tip of the soldering iron to kind of, I'm still doing it now. Don't solder when you're in a hurry. It just, the quality of your work goes to absolute hell. Do it right, he says to himself as well as everyone else. All right, let's try this again. Tiny whoops are a son of a bitch to work on. Never forget that. They are very, very annoying. It's doable, and you'll get it, but you're going to have to rework stuff. You're going to have to reflux stuff. You're going to have to pay attention to what you're doing. But luckily, like, there aren't many pads that you have to solder on them. so the suffering is sort of short-lived. That is a mosquito. Fuck you. Really? How are you in here? Get back here, you jerk off. All right. Let's try this again. Once more with feeling. I'm having a hard time getting the wire. There we go. Never mind. No, I'm still having a hard time getting the wire to face straight down. So that it'll go into the little pocket. This is fiddly. There it is. I think that's it. Nope, there it is. That's it. Go, go, go. Get in there. Get in there, you little bastard. Wow, I can't get it for some reason. Come on. Too good for your home? I actually need like more magnification than these than this little headset's giving me. Man. Okay, so the solder is like all gone from the wire for some reason. I don't know where it went. But I gotta re-tin this wire. Super weird. Okay. That's gonna be better. It wasn't transferring heat, I guess because there wasn't enough solder on the end of the wire. That was super weird. Alright, let's try this again. Jesus, come on, man. It doesn't help that these wires are all coiled up. I really need to, like, uncoil these wires. But I'm just trying to get this done real quick. Damn it. There we go. Okay. Good to go. And then voltage. I need to push the ground wire out of the way. There we go. Voltage coming up. And that one is cooperating just fine. All right, good to go. Let me check my work real quick, make sure nothing's bridged, nothing's angry. Enough solder, that looks fine. I'm actually going to use the 5X loop because it has a little bit more magnification. Oh yeah, we're good. Cool. Camera started up. You know what sucks? Oh, excuse me. I should have hung on to the blown up one because I could have just done a diff. Or, well, I could have just backed it up onto the hard drive. That was stupid. This is now a completely wiped out AIO. You know what I mean? So I got to do all the setup stuff again. But I guess a bunch of it I can just pull off of another AIO. They do give you some grommets, but they are a little bit taller grommets, and I don't really want that. I want to use regular height grommets. I think I was using these before, so I'm just going to use these again here. Let's just pop these in. Of course, one of them just fell and rolled onto the goddamn floor. Why wouldn't it? All right. Grommet, grommet, grommet. Walter, Walter, Walter. There's that. All right, let's get the video antenna plugged in here. I modified this Mobula 6 canopy a little bit to have the antenna stick down into it. I don't know if I love that setup. We'll see. Once I've crashed this a whole ton, I'll get back to you on that. And then there's running a set of slightly longer screws on this, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. Okay, put this guy through here. I did have to modify. This is a Meteor 75 Air frame that I had to modify quite a bit with a Dremel to get this AIO to fit in it. Don't use this frame. Just use a Mobula 7 V4 frame if you're gonna mimic this build. I'm just gonna straight up say this AIO does not fit properly into the Meteor 75 Air frame. If you want to go ballistic modifying it, you can make it fit, just like you can make damn near anything fit. But yeah, my stance is going to be that the Specter AIO is for the Mobula 7 V4. All right, there we go. AIO is down in there. I don't know where I got these longer screws from, but I had them floating around. On the 75mm builds, I like to try to run longer screws. Since they're heavier, they're hitting harder. They make more power, so they're going faster. Again, hitting harder. Yeah. But it's hard to find the right screws. I think they're all just like either M1.25 or M1.4. And you can get 100 packs of these screws on eBay for like $10. There we go. Cool. 2 screws in. Make that 3. Oh shit! Now the front screw point. This is one of the other things that's a little wacky with the Specter is that these front 3 these wire locations in the front here really jam up against this front canopy mounting point. So you got to make sure that these wires are super flat. It's a thing with the Mobula 6 canopy. Yeah, that should be fine. Push that in there a little bit. Come on. There we go. Okay. That's better. If you do this build, you'll see exactly what I mean. It's the little things like that you want to pay attention to that can potentially like pinch the AIO and like essentially hard mount the AIO. You don't want that. All right, there we go. That's all set. Let me see how quick I can get through the Betaflight setup process here after I plug these motors in. Okay. Although, I mean, the main thing that I want to know is, will this spin up all 4 motors without blowing up? So what I could do is just go into the motors tab and just spin the motors up. And as long as they spin, then this was more of a success than the previous HGLRC AIO. but I'm pretty quick at setting up Betaflight, so we can probably just knock that out. And, oh, you know, shit, I don't have a 450 mAh battery ready for this. Christ. I'll put one on the charger. I'm not going to have a battery that's full, though. I'll put the charger to 0.9 of an amp. That'll help a little bit. Whoopsie! All right. I kind of have... One of these is kind of jammed in here. I hope I don't have to pull this thing apart to get this motor plug out. Nope, we're good. Okay. HGLRC puts the motor plugs 180 degrees versus everybody else. It's kind of funny. Doesn't matter, but just a funny thing. There we go. All right. Let's get into the Betaflight and see what's what. I might as well do the full Betaflight setup because I just put that battery on the charger. And it's not going to have any juice in it. All right. No, we want that. Here we go. 4.4.2. Let's first take a look at what gyro it has. By typing status into the CLI. It has a 42688, so I'm not going to bother to bring this up to Betaflight 4.5. We are just going to leave it alone. Jason Crabtree says, tinning the pads is like foreplay. Not absolutely necessary, but sure makes things easier. Scotty Scott says, Flyswift Volador 3.5 is in stock at RDQ. Very cool. Cole Power says, did you get the flavor of COVID that's going around now? Nope. I am good to go. Teleport says, you're a wealth of knowledge, Jude. Thank you, man. JISFPV says, I have a Mobula 6 2024, and after I crash, it doesn't have video. It just grained. Should I change the AIO or the camera? You can try changing the camera, but the VTX has blown up. You should contact whoever you bought it from and tell them that the VTX has died. And if it was the camera, you would still have OSD, which it doesn't sound like you do. So yeah, get in touch with who you bought it from and tell them that the VTX blew up. Let's calibrate the let's accelerate the calibrometer. All right, that's good to go. Ports tab we don't have to screw with because it's an AIO. Craft name CiottiFPV, PID loop 4K, accelerometer on, arming setting to 180, which turns it off. This is a safety feature, but it's just a tiny whoop. D-Shot beacon configuration, lost an RX set. This will allow us to use the ESC beepers. Air mode is permanently on. That's fine. OSD is on. Great. Save and reboot. Hook back up. We're going to go to power and battery and just take a quick look. Minimum cell voltage is 3.3. Let's move that to 3.2. Warning is 3.5. Let's move that to 3.4. I'll probably end up moving those down a little bit more, but we'll just leave it a little bit conservative for now. Failsafe, since it's just tiny whoop, I'm going to change it from 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds. It'll be fine. Connect again. Presets, we're going to do the 250 Express LRS. And we're going to go HD Freestyle. And pick. Save and reboot. Okay. Now we're going to go into PID tuning. And I'm just going to very gently push and pull a couple of these sliders here the way that I usually like them. This is a personal thing. You should not just copy what I'm doing here. Jitter reduction is at 10. iTerm relax. Move that cutoff from 15 down to 10 for more of a freestyle setup. 15 is for racing. 10 is for freestyle. Dynamic damping, I like to set these both at 30. Dynamic idle is disabled. Great. Oh, no, because D-Shot telemetry is off. I'm going to have to turn that on, but we can do that in a minute. Motor output, 100%. Great. Throttle boost 5. That's fine. VBAT sag compensation, I am turning that on since it is important for throttle expo. Thrust linearization, yeah, just give it a little bit. Rates, don't just copy mine, figure your own out. All right, throttle mid, I'm going to take a guess at 0.35, just a little bit of expo at 0.2. Save it. Filter settings, gyro filter all the way up because it doesn't do much. D-term filter, I'm going to move up to 1.2. That's just like a pretty safe, but a little bit more aggressive than stock value. A little bit of deadband, not 44, just 4. Nope, that's a 1, not a 4. All right, just a couple simple things here. Got to set it to TAER. And modes, ARM, aux1 all the way down. Horizon, aux2 all the way up. I use that for if I lose video, I can just flip horizon mode and add throttle, and it'll just hover and gain altitude. Hopefully get above whatever's blocking the RF. Beeper, aux3, switch all the way down. Flip over after crash, aux3 in the middle. For fun, we're going to do launch control on aux2 in the middle, and that's it. Adjustments, yeah, what the hell. This is my little OSD on a switch kind of setup. Motors, bidirectional D-shot, yay! 12 motor poles, D-shot 300, motor idle percent 6, not 106, just 6. Save and reboot. I need to get this into ESC configurator now. Let's hook up a battery real quick. Hopefully it doesn't blow up immediately. It did not sing the song of my people, which is probably okay. Let's get it into here. ZH30 BL Heli 16.7. Yeah, we don't want that. We are going to flash all. ZH30, nope, not BL Heli, Blue Jay, there we go. 0.21, 48 PWM, flash. Hopefully the default startup power settings are going to work on this thing. Man, do I have to take a shit. I don't remember what the binding procedure was on this. Hopefully I can just plug in 3 times. Otherwise, we might not be flying this thing tonight. But I'm trying my best, man. Trying my best. At the very least, we're going to spin the motors up in the motors tab to make sure that this AIO works out of the box, unlike the previous one. Flashing the 4th ESC, great. Awesome. Beacon strength, turn it up a little bit because they're so quiet on this thing. You might need it to find the damn thing at one point. Beacon delay 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it'll start beeping. Like, hey, I'm over here. Come find me. I am going to turn the startup power up a little bit. I'm going to do 1050 and 1100. 2S plus, no. 1S, brake on stop, yes. Right settings. Awesome. Disconnect. Now it's singing. Come into the motors tab, and let's get the motors spinning in the let's make sure that the motors are in the right spots. Nah, they will be. They'll be in the right spots. Motor direction. I understand the risks. Wizard. Start and spin. No motors are spinning. The ESC just reset. Okay. Let's try this here. Yeah, there we go. I guess I need more. Well, channel number 4 is doing exactly what the previous ESC did. It will not start. Nope, it will not start. It will not start. Not a good sign. Let's go back into ESC configurator. and we will start raising the startup powers. But this is not good. That is the same channel that on the previous one would not turn over. We're going to go from 1050 to 1080 and 1100 up to 1180. Right settings. BlueJay 0.21 48K, 21 48K, 21 48K, 21 48K. Everything looks fine there. 2 minutes. We'll put this to medium. Demag compensation low. This is all normal. This is all totally fine. Should not need any modification in here. Come back in. Motors tab. This it is resetting over and over again. Never a good sign. There we go. Nope, channel 4 still don't work. Oh, no, there it goes. There it goes. Nope, now it doesn't work. All 3 of the other channels are fine. Same exact problem. Wow. Unreal. Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, see, now it's fine. This is indicative of a bad FET. When, like, sometimes it'll start, but sometimes it won't. And this is not a functioning product, in my opinion. Having to sit here, arm it and rearm it 14 times for that motor to start up, that's unacceptable. Yeah. Stay away from the HGLRC Specter AIO. Unreal. Stay away from HGLRC in general. I have had nothing but bad luck with them over the years. Let's see if that changed anything. Nope. Won't spin up. Nope. And the mosquito just bit me. Well, there you have it. Yet again, don't touch anything that HGLRC makes with a 10-foot pole. They either catch on fire right out of the box or just don't work. This is 2 in a row. I'm done. For the next 2 years or so, I will not buy anything HGLRC. And then, like an idiot, I will say, I'm sure they've figured things out by now. And I'll buy something else HGLRC, and then it'll do this again. That is what's happened over the last 8 years. First couple of years into FPV, I bought a whole bunch of HGLRC stuff, and almost all of it failed. And then I said, no more. This brand is horrible. A bunch of time went by. Something else came out that was interesting. Got it. Bit me in the ass. No more. A couple of years go by. Rinse and repeat. So yeah. HGLRC Specter 10A AIO is useless. Definitely don't get it. Unbelievable. No, very believable. But super disappointing. Super disappointing that a company can continue to sell garbage to the FPV world and not... Like, how? How can they continue to get away with this? You know what I mean? How can they stay in business? Tell your friends. Tell your friends that HGLRC products are awful and to stay as far away from them as possible so that we can get rid of this brand and stop turning people off to FPV, because this shit is ridiculous. Like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Good luck. Thanks for hanging, friends. I don't know what. I guess I'm. I guess I'm gonna have to get another X12. What's? I don't know. I don't know of any other AIOs with ELRS on board and a VTX on board that are lightweight and flat and whatnot. The X12 is kind of annoying because it's oversized. But yeah. Wow, how unbelievably frustrating. Sorry, guys. I really hope that this would be the answer to our 75mm AIO problems, but back to the drawing board. I'll see you guys on Friday at 7 o'clock. Hey, Monday night live streams are going to change to 8 o'clock. Maybe not this Monday, but be warned. Monday night live streams are going to be 8 since Joshua is no longer streaming in that time slot. Love you guys. Bye! Here's some more flying from the Grinderino. Maybe. Hold on. Grinderino with a dirty lens, I think. Is that what I'm seeing here? Who's green props? Oh no, hey, this is the Quadmula. This is the Quadmula with the Toka 1505 motors, 3800 kV, and HQ 3x3x3 props. Love you, bye.